In this video, I'm going to be going over a new soldering station, and I'm going to be showing you how to use it in a practical repair. Let's get into the video. This is the T3A Smart Soldering Station. So we've got our grounder with an alligator clip, our power cable, a beautiful iron support soldering station, the soldering iron itself with some extra padded grips. Looks like we've got our 3 different tips. We'll take a closer look at them here in a second. And last but not least, the soldering station itself. We've got our product manual here, and we can get to the English portion. It goes over all of the different features and the operating instructions. Pretty detailed. Let's take a look at some of these tips here. We got a nice little chisel tip here with a quick change insert here. And we got this nice little pencil tip here. And these are always my favorite, the curved tips. Let's take a closer look at this soldering iron here. That really feels nice in the hand. But we can also slip on this other grip here, make it a little bit more comfortable. That feels really good. Let's take our tip here and insert it down in. There we go. Stores away nicely there. I'm really liking this. I can tell that it's... Let's take a look at the station itself. We can ground it if we want to right here. And we will line up and plug in the soldering iron to the station. Nice and tight. We'll plug it on in. Looks like the number 10 here, the in port is for a dormancy cable. We can take that and plug it in. All right, we'll go ahead and turn it on. And as soon as I lift it up, it senses that I'm using it, and now that I put it away, the temperature is going to go back down. I can set the temperature there. It's like 500 degrees is the hottest it'll go. And it's nice and all to be able to play around with the settings, but let's see how this handles an actual practical repair. Here I have an iPad logic board that needs a new charging port. We'll go ahead and clamp that up. Let's first start by carefully peeling back this protective sticker. Let's add some flux. And I'm going to be using this 138 Celsius, which has a lower melting point than the solder that's currently holding the charge port to the logic board. By applying this to the board, we'll be able to successfully lower the point that it needs to get to make for an easy extraction of the charge port. As I go over this, the low melt solder is going to start to mix with the solder that's currently on each one of those pads, effectively making it so that I can remove this port in a much easier fashion. Now I can take the excess and we can dab it off inside of there and clean up the soldering tip. There's a brass curly sponge inside of there that's going to wick off the solder off the iron tip, cleaning it from oxidation and helping with the general process. We'll add some more flux to help prevent the solder from oxidizing and to help the flux that's currently on there from not getting too tacky. Now I can carefully use the soldering iron, just giving it a little bit of tension on the flex cable, going back and forth over, melting the solder, causing the flex cable to separate from the logic board. And as long as I'm consistent with the heat, I won't have any issues with the pads pulling away from the logic board. We'll add some more flux And now we're going to wick away pads. Remove any of the excess solder from all of the pads on the logic board. Now we can take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and a microfiber cloth. Let's clean up all of the leftover flux, any of the residue from soldering, and the old adhesive that's holding down that old board. We got a nice, clean, debris-free logic board, like that. We'll get our new charge port. We'll apply some new flux. And then right here, I've got a 183 Celsius. This is a good solder for this type of job because it's not the highest melting point at like a 217, but it's also not a 138. So it's kind of in the middle a little bit, more on the higher end, which is perfect for any connectors and any docks or anything that's gonna see any type of movement or play. So I'll pipe that out onto the board. And we'll come in and we will gently fluff up each one of those pads. So it's got a nice little amount of solder on it. Just like that. Alright, let's clean up the flux there and any of the solder paste that didn't get used. And you can see there's a teeny little pillow of solder on each one of those. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now something you'll notice is there's nice little cutouts here where we can line up the little squares that are on the ends with those windows there. So I'm going to take a little flux, spread that out like so. And we'll line up the windows with those squares. We'll add some new flux. Go down and tack both sides. And now that I know that it's lined up, we can take the iron and we can pull the solder up through each one of those holes from the logic board, create a nice solid joint between the charge port and the logic board. Using the flat chisel like this, it allows kind of to help level out the pad area so that all of the solder melts at the same time, pulling it up through on each one of them, creating a nice solid joint as I go over it so that it's not uneven. Now we'll just clean up the burnt flux there. And we can see there that this is nice and solid. And probably one of my favorite features is we can simply turn off the soldering station here and take this while it's still too hot to grab it with my fingers, take it up here, put it in the slot there, and gently pull out the tip when we can let it cool down there. And that'll allow us to do a quick change over to our new tip, install it, and turn it back on, and we're back in business so that we don't have to wait for this tip to cool down before we can pull it out and change it over like you do on so many other of the soldering stations. So put it in here. Push it on in, there we go. Well, there you have it. The soldering station, I found that I really enjoy the way that it feels in the hand. It's easy to exchange the tips. It's quick on heating up, has the sleep function, and it was very consistent throughout the entire repair. I'll have a link in the description where you can get it, along with any of the other tools and supplies that I used in this video. Thanks a ton for watching. We'll see you in the next video.